But I think the New York election was very, very important because they had their way. The Palins and the Limbaughs and the Palantes, they all ran the moderate Republican out of the race. They got exactly what they wanted, and they said, this is how we win. And instead of winning, they lost a district that they had held for 152 years in a row. Now, that seems to be a devastating loss, not just for the Republican Party and for the conservative movement, but for the idea that if you go further right, you win elections. So, Rush Limbaugh, of course, did not see it that way in any of these races. So, let's start with his interpretation of the New Jersey win for the GOP. Clip number 7.
New Jersey is so blue, it's almost black. It's a navy blue state. I mean, it is deep Democrat. For a Republican to win by 1 vote in that state, it says something. The last Republican it did was Christie Whitman, I believe. To have a 5% win in New Jersey is nothing to sneeze at. We're just starting. We just had the big Obama victories in these states a year ago, and they were talking about realignment. I think there are 2 things going on here, Richard. One thing, Obama's been stopped. There is no question this is an anti-Obama vote.
An anti-Obama vote, there's no question, apparently. No question. Were the people in New Jersey voting on Corzine or Christie? No. They were voting on Obama. Now, of course, that ignores exit poll results where they told the people taking the surveys, no, I really like Obama. I just can't vote for Corzine. It's in the numbers, okay? And he's like, oh, yeah, no, that's nonsense. So it wasn't Corzine running at all. It was Obama running, and we beat him. It's obvious. New Jersey is so blue, it's almost black. Interesting word choice there. Anyway, so that's it. It's over. It's over. The Republicans are ascendant, and they don't have to worry about a thing anymore. They got this thing on lockdown. So, but let's go on to the so-called implications for Obama in clip number 8.
In New York, upstate New York, Republicans were winning all kinds of little local offices. Same thing in Virginia. It's a huge sweep. This last night may well have been Obama's Waterloo. I'm not kidding about that, ladies. That may have been Obama's Waterloo last night. My first clue that they were really bugged by it was when they tried to tell everybody he wasn't watching the returns. Ha! What was he doing? Chain smoking, shooting hoops?
This guy's unreal. Chain smoking, shooting hoops. Okay. All right. Anyway, Obama's Waterloo. That's it. He's done. They lost one governor's race, not a Senate race, not something that affects voting on national issues, a governor's race. It's a Waterloo. Waterloo, done. He's done. No, let's not even bother having the next 3 years. Okay. It's a comical interpretation of what happened. And if I thought that those losses were tremendously important, I would give a warning sign to the Democrats. Hey, look, you screwed this up, and it could affect national elections. And I'm telling you, they lost the independents. That is a warning sign, okay? That is real. And they should try to figure out why they lost the independents, right? But it was not a national referendum. They weren't voting on national issues. They were voting on local issues. The real problem is the interpretation, because if they interpret it as, hey, run towards the right, that will be a terrible mistake, as they found out in New York's 23rd District. Unless you listen to Rush Limbaugh, who says that was a victory. Okay.
And the media couldn't wait. This is just one example of what was happening today all over television.
What about the congressional race in upstate New York, where, as we all know, Sarah Palin and Rush Limbaugh intervened to push the moderate Republican candidate out of the race in favor of a conservative candidate? Well, it seems to have handed victory to the Democrat.
They're doing anything they can to ignore Virginia and New Jersey. So the talking points are Limbaugh and Palin lost. Intervene. I have never been to Watertown, New York. I have never spoken to Doug Hoffman, although as the titular head of the Republican Party, I, of course, was behind fixing the mess, which was Didi Scazafaza. I forced her out. I single-handedly intervened, and I forced Didi Scazafaza out. If I could have gotten her name off the ballot, I'd have done that, but I only had so much power. The Sarah Palin is not damaged at all. To answer the guy's question, Sarah Palin is not damaged at all by the good showing of Doug Hoffman.
Let's understand a couple of things. Number one, apparently the media is ignoring Virginia and New Jersey. Have you turned on television? All I saw was wall to wall. Oh my God, the Democrats are in huge trouble. They lost Virginia and New Jersey. It's over. Okay, Obama's been stopped. I mean, it's like they took their talking points from Rush Limbaugh. They've been ignoring Virginia and New Jersey. Number two, in the beginning he says, I've never been to that town. I don't know what they're talking about. Then he, of course, immediately says, I forced her out. So which one is it? Did you force her out and it's your doing or it's not your doing? I said, all the talking points in the media is that it was lost for Palin and I. Well, that's what you just said. You said you made that decision and you forced out the moderate and you got your guy in and your guy got his ass handed to him. So that didn't seem that smart, did it, Rush? But apparently he thinks it was. And he says, no, it was a victory. How is losing a district you have won for 152 straight years, how's that a victory? Hoffman did better than expected. What do you mean he did better than expected? Before you intervened with Sarah Palin and the rest of the idiots, the Republican was nearly guaranteed to win that seat. Guaranteed. And instead of getting the victory, you lost. How is that better? No, Limbaugh, look, I don't know if he's a full-blown idiot or if he's smart and he thinks, I don't care how much the Republicans lose as long as people keep paying attention to me and I get to keep calling myself the titular head of the GOP. Okay? That's fantastic for you. But I'll tell you what, if they keep listening to you, they're going to keep getting their ass handed to them all throughout the country, and I'm going to love it.
Have you seen all the TYT videos from today? Check out the Young Turks YouTube channel. Do it already.